The morning air in Tehran turned metallic in 1979. Ali stood at the window of his apartment, watching a group of men spray paint over the university murals. They carried iron bars, not books. By the end of that month, the faculty gates were locked with heavy, cold chains. Ali walked to his office, his gait steady, until a man blocked his path. The stranger pointed to a new sign nailed to the brickwork. It listed the forbidden subjects. Physics was no longer a science. It was a suspicion. It was a crime. Ali stood still, his hands shaking deep in his pockets. He stared at the list, the ink still wet and dark against the white paper. The university was gone. The labs were hollowed out. The books he had spent a lifetime reading were now evidence of a dangerous mind. He turned away, his boots scraping against the uneven pavement. He did not look back. He kept his eyes fixed on the ground, walking fast, as the city began to close in around him. The change was not a shift in policy. It was a rewrite of reality. Ali reached the apartment, his key heavy in his palm. The hallway was unnervingly still. He expected the usual sounds of cooking or the radio, but there was only the hollow hum of the city outside. Then, the front door clicked. Layla stepped inside. She did not speak. She crossed the threshold with a limp, her sleeve hanging in jagged strips. She dropped a broken pair of glasses onto the wooden table. The lenses crunched under the impact, spider-webbed with cracks. Ali watched, paralyzed, as she walked to the sink. She turned the faucet on full force. She did not grab a towel or ask for help. She began to scrub her knees with a rough sponge, back and forth, over and over, until the skin turned raw and angry. She did not sob. She did not scream. She only scrubbed, her eyes fixed on the drain, as if she could wash the day away with enough friction. Ali stood in the doorway, his breath caught in his throat. The silence was absolute. The reality of the new laws was no longer a headline on a wall. It was the sound of her skin scraping against the sponge, a rhythmic, desperate noise that filled the room and shattered the last of their sanctuary. The silence in the apartment became a physical weight. Ali moved to the kitchen, his movements sharp and calculated. He pulled his journals from the shelf, one by one, and fed them into the sink. The matches flared, hot and bright, before the paper curled into ash. He watched the ink vanish, the smoke rising to stain the curtains a dull, sickly gray. Every word he had written, every thought he had documented over years of study, was now a liability. He stood by the window, peering through the gap in the blinds. Below, the streetlights flickered against the dark. Suddenly, a door slammed open across the alley. A man was dragged from his home by the collar, his heels scraping against the pavement in a frantic, uneven rhythm. He did not cry out, but the sound of his struggle echoed off the brick walls. Ali pressed his eye to the peephole, his heart hammering against his ribs. He watched until the street swallowed them whole and the silence returned, heavier than before. He stepped back from the door, his hands trembling. The walls of his apartment felt like they were shrinking. He realized then that staying meant waiting for the same knock to come for him. He would not wait. Ali grabbed a single bag from the closet. He did not look back at the room. He walked to the kitchen counter and placed his keys on the wood. The metal clattered, a final, sharp sound in the quiet space. He left his desk, his pens, and his books. They were anchors he no longer dared to carry. He pushed the front door open and stepped into the hallway. The stairwell felt cold. He descended, his boots echoing against the concrete, and pushed out into the afternoon light. The city felt different. The storefronts were shuttered. The faces of the people passing by were turned toward the ground. Ali kept his head low, matching his stride to the rhythm of the crowd. Every siren in the distance made his muscles tighten. He took the back alleys, avoiding the main thoroughfares where patrols lingered. His breath came in short, shallow bursts. His bag dug into his shoulder, a constant, abrasive reminder of his status. He reached the edge of the bus station, the terminal looming ahead like a cage. He did not look back at his apartment. He did not look at the faces of the men standing near the gates. He kept walking, one step, then another, toward the idling engine of the bus. Ali stepped onto the bus, his gaze fixed on the floor. He moved toward the back, finding an empty seat near the window. Outside, the men in dark coats were moving methodically, stopping each passenger before they could board. Their hands gripped identity papers with aggressive precision. A guard approached the bus door, his eyes scanning the interior with cold, practiced suspicion. Ali sat motionless, his knuckles white against the seat back. He forced himself to breathe evenly, staring straight ahead, refusing to acknowledge the man standing inches from his window. The guard lingered, his gaze sweeping over the rows of passengers. A heavy silence filled the cabin, broken only by the low rumble of the idling engine. Then, the guard stepped back and waved the driver forward. The bus lurched, the tires spinning on the pavement before catching grip. As they pulled away, Ali watched the terminal entrance recede. The men in dark coats grew smaller, then blurred into the background. The familiar buildings of his youth drifted past, their outlines dissolving into a thick, gray cloud of exhaust. He leaned his forehead against the cool glass. The city was gone. In its place remained only the vast, hollow ache of a life left behind.